Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green, and I want to give a shout out to today's presenting sponsor, Aura, an all-in-one digital safety tool that'll help you protect yourself and your family online. You can get started today at aura.com/chatsports. I'll have the link to that in the comments and description of this video, and we'll let you know more about them later in today's show. But in today's show, we're going to break down Daniel Jones and what the truthers and the haters are saying, and then on the tail end of the show, Isaiah McKenzie, a wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. He absolutely ripped New York Giants fans on Twitter, so we'll talk about good old Isaiah later. But let's start with Daniel Jones. And as we know, Jones is in the last year of his rookie contract. It's a make or break season for Daniel. And he has the ball in his court to prove to this new regime, and Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka, Shea Tierney, the quarterback's coach, if he can be the guy to be the future franchise quarterback for the New York Football Giants. But before we get to this year and next year, let's take a look at the past and see what Daniel Jones has done in his NFL career. You got to look at his rookie year. That's the most, I think, impressive year of his NFL career so far. Played in just 12 games. Came in relief of Eli Manning in that Tampa Bay Bucks game where he led the Giants and an awesome comeback, and he had the game-winning rushing TD to seal the deal against the Tampa Bay Bucks. In that rookie year, he completed 62% of his passes, had 24 TDs. He also had 12 interceptions. And then in 2020, I think that was the most complete year outside of his rookie year. And the numbers don't suggest so, but the numbers we show you in a second might change your mind. He completed 63% of his passes, had almost 3,000 yards, 11 TDs, and 10 interceptions. Not good numbers whatsoever. In this past year, he missed 6 games due to that neck injury, but he also had a couple good games this season. But let's look at the numbers when Daniel Jones is under pressure, because the talk is always he hasn't had the most help on the offensive line. It's been a turnstile at tackle. Andrew Thomas wasn't good his rookie year. There's been a lot of injuries, and I get that. But look back at 2019, where he played Daniel Jones, and he was under a lot of pressure his rookie season. But he threw for 50 first downs in that year, in his rookie season under pressure, which was the 12th most in the National Football League. And then the next year in 2020, he threw 53 first downs, which ranked 8th. And then this past year, he just threw 28 first downs, which ranked 28 in the National Football League. And that's the problem. He got worse after his second year in the NFL. Is that due to Jason Garrett? Sure. Is that due to Kenny Golladay and him not being on the same page? Is that due to Sterling Shepard being hurt? Is that due to Kadarius Toney not being out there? There's a whole bunch of excuses that you can make for Daniel Jones. But he's not the same quarterback, or hasn't been since his rookie year, where he was a gunslinger and he threw it all over the yard. And Pat Shurmur let him be himself. And maybe, Jason Garrett getting out of there and letting a guy like Mike Kafka, who's worked with a young quarterback in Patrick Mahomes and gotten the absolute most best out of him and had a real relationship with him, can come in and show Daniel Jones what he needs to do and the steps he needs to take to be a good quarterback in the NFL. We're going to continue to break down Daniel Jones, but I want to get you guys involved before I show you a couple more stats that could sway or dissuay you how you feel about Daniel. Will this be the last year Daniel Jones is the Giants starting quarterback? If you think it is, you can go down and type other because you think someone else is going to be the starting quarterback next year. Or if you think Daniel Jones will be back in the saddle in 2023, you can type DJ for Daniel Jones. But what you need to do right now is go down right now and hit that big red button because we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. Do it for Eli Manning, the best Giant to ever wear number 10. Look, if you're just looking for off-season videos every single day around the latest Giants news and rumors, I promise you we are the channel for you. It's the off-season. June and July are here, but we're not going to take time off. So lock in with New York Giants Now. Go down right now, hit that big red button, and help us get to 10,000 subscribers. Because once we do, my boss has told me we might be able to do more videos and maybe even a live show every Sunday for the NFL season. So lock us in, hit that big red button. But let's talk more about Daniel Jones. Because there's no doubt that Daniel, do the left one. I'm sorry, Petey, I messed up the script. But when you look at Daniel Jones, he's had some good games in the NFL, no doubt about it. Look at his best 5 games that he had. And 4 of them are in his rookie season. In 2019, he had 4 really good games. A game against the Washington football team where he threw 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 350 yards. Against the Detroit Lions, he threw 4 touchdowns, 322 yards, and went 28 of 41. Against the New York Jets, he threw for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's what we want out of Daniel Jones. And in the Tampa Bay Bucks game, when he came in relief for Eli Manning and led us to a comeback, had 2 touchdowns through the air, but he also had 2 touchdowns on the ground. And this past year, I loved what he did against the New Orleans Saints. He led a fourth quarter comeback, a game-tying drive against the New Orleans Saints, and then a game-winning drive in overtime. Those aren't the best stats, but in my opinion, that's the best I've ever seen Daniel Jones, and he threw for a career-high 402 yards. We'll continue to talk about Daniel Jones, but I want to make sure you guys are hooked up with Aura. Get started today. A 14-day free trial at aura.com/chatsports. We do more online than ever, and Aura does more to keep you safe. You can get near real-time alerts on suspicious credit inquiries. They're going to protect you from the frauds and the scammers out there. Because look, like my guy Matthew Peterson says, you put a lock on your front door, your apartment, do the same with your identity online. Protect yourself and your family. And you can get started for absolutely zero charge. Just go to aura.com/chatsports. They'll hook you up, and you can cancel at any time for zero charge. Let's look at a tale of the tape of Daniel Jones, because I feel like I'm right in the middle. I wouldn't call myself a hater of Daniel Jones. I probably lean more of being a truther and kind of a fanboy of Daniel Jones, because if he's good, that means the Giants are going to be good. And I'm a Giants fan, and that's what I want. But the haters will say, he's only had 11 games of more than 2 passing touchdowns and only 6 games of more than 300 passing yards. He has thrown a pick in 19 games, and he's also fumbled in 24 games. But the fanboys, or the truthers as they like to call them, the Daniel Jones truthers, they would say he's been sacked multiple times in 27 different games. And his stars are always hurt. Saquon Barkley, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay. And he's on his 3rd head coach and his 4th offensive coordinator. He had to spend 2 years with Jason Garrett. And you got to go back to remember, as they would say, the 24 touchdowns in his rookie season. We've seen good, bad, and ugly for Daniel Jones. I don't think anyone at this point thinks he's going to be a guy like Josh Allen, that Brian Dable is going to make an MVP candidate. But I do think he can be a solid starter in the National Football League and be the car driver or the boat driver and get it done and be a game manager. But is that what you want in 2021 and 2022 going forward for the New York Football Giants? So we'll wrap up this Daniel Jones segment with a question that I have for you guys. That me and my friend Matthew Peterson, he produces this channel. He's a Bears fan. Don't tell the Broncos and Browns fans. I feel like Daniel and Mitchell Trubisky are in a similar situation like when Trubisky was in his last season with the Chicago Bears. What do they have to do to earn a contract extension? Does Daniel have to get the Giants to the playoffs? Does Daniel Jones have to win a playoff game? It's going to be very interesting to see, but I almost feel like the odds are stacked not in favor of Daniel Jones. I feel like he's got to get to the playoffs and maybe even win a playoff game for Joe Schoen and Brian Dable to give himself a contract extension. Let me know what you think DJ has to do to be the Giants starting quarterback next season. To wrap up the show, I want to talk about something I saw on Twitter. It was Sunday Night Football on the ABC, or NBC. Is it NBC? NBC on Twitter tweeted out this picture and said, who is the best fan base in New York? The Bills, the Jets, the Giants. And Bills wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie quote tweeted that on Twitter and was absolutely just bashing Giants fans. But I want to ask you this question first before we get to the tweets. Who is the best fan base in New York? Is it the Bills, Jets, or Giants? I better see a lot of Giants in the comment section, guys. Stand up, make me proud. But Isaiah McKenzie quote tweeted that and said, why would someone even ask this question? And honestly, that kind of pissed me off a little bit. I can't even lie. The Buffalo Bills, until Josh Allen got there, were a joke of a franchise for a very long time. But then someone responded to Isaiah McKenzie, and he had this to say in response to that fan. He said, Jets and Giants fans literally go to games for hot dogs and drinks. You know, if this was maybe Stephon Diggs of the Buffalo Bills, someone that's a really good player, that's been a Pro Bowler, been an all-pro type of player. But the fact is that Isaiah McKenzie is a scrub, and he's out here bashing Giants fans and only has 99 receptions and 992 yards and a career 175 rushing touchdowns, and he has just 2 total touchdowns in 99 career games. Also, He also has 10 fumbles. So the guy can't hold on to the football, probably can't hold on to his girl. And people say, well, he played good in the playoffs. Yeah, well, he only had 4 catches for 48 yards in the playoffs. Like I said, if this was Stephon Diggs or Tre'Davious White or Micah Hyde or someone that's really good on that team went out there and bashed the Giants, maybe I wouldn't be as pissed off. But the fact it was a scrub and Isaiah McKenzie, that pisses me off. So I want to see the comment section lit up today. I know you're pumped up after hearing that. I wish the Giants would go out and play tomorrow on a Sunday, but spam the comment section. F Isaiah, F-I-M, F Isaiah McKenzie, however you want to do it. Go and do it right now. Type F Isaiah.